Good day, everyone. Welcome to our Fisheries Professionals Licensure Examination Review. This review is intended for those fisheries graduates and students who will take the Fisheries Board exam. In this video, we are going to respond to some possible board exam questions. But before we proceed, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified when we upload new videos. So let us start. Number 1. What do you call to the fish that was not naturally occur in the habitat which was accidentally or intentionally introduced in the area and proliferates? A. Introduced species. B. Invasive species. C. Exotic species. Or D. Alien species. The answer is letter B. Invasive species. The words introduced, exotic, and alien species are synonymous. These refer to those species that have been moved by humans to an environment where they didn't occur naturally. Introduced species can be accidental or intentional. Then later on, if these introduced species are not properly controlled and eventually proliferate in a certain environment, affecting the native ones, they will be categorized as invasive species. In the Philippines, black-chin tilapia, charo mussel, knife fish, golden apple snail, mosquito fish, white goby, Thai catfish, and janitor fish are some of the many aquatic invasive species in the country. Next is question number 2. Lotus or nilombo plants are classified as blank. Lotus or nilombo plants are classified as blank. A. Emergent plants. B. Free floating. C. Floating. Or D. Submerged. Lotus or nilombo plants are classified as blank. For this question, the answer is letter C, floating. But before we proceed to the next question, let us define first what are the 4 classifications of aquatic plants. According to Clausen 2018, emergent plants are plants that is rooted in the soil underwater, but the larger part of the plant is above the water, just like what's shown on our figure. On the other hand, floating plants have leaves that float on the surface of the water. Their roots may be attached to the substrate or floating in the water column. Moreover, submerged plants are plants that also rooted to the bottom, but their leaves grow entirely under the water. Due to this, they may grow to greater depths than emergent and floating plants. Shoreline plants are plants that prefer the shore, but can take being moist and flooded seasonally. And we also have free-floating plants. As defined by extension.usu.edu, they are plants that float freely on the water surface. The entire plant is suspended in the water, allowing the plants to be moved around the pond by wind and by currents. Plants such as duckweed, mosquito fern, water hyacinth, and watermeal are free-floating. Number 3. Crabs are one of the most important invertebrate resources taken and contribute significantly to global food supply. There are 51 species of swimming crabs reported in the country, but only about 7 are considered marketable. The blue crab is the main species exploited with scientific name of blanc. The blue crab is the main species exploited with scientific name of blanc. A. Cilia serrata. B. Cilia olivaceae. C. Cilia paramosae. Or D. Portunus pelagicus. The answer is letter D, Portunus pelagicus. Cilia serrata is a giant mangrove crab. Cilia paramusane is a scientific name of green mangrove crab. And Cilia olivaceae is commonly known as orange mangrove crab. And we also have Ciliac truncabareca, or known as purple mangrove crab. Next is number 4. Decades of studies have shown that the composition of oceanic phytoplankton generally remains constant with a carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus ratio of 106 is to 16 is to 1, also known as the Redfield ratio. Given this situation, which nutrient acts as a limiting nutrient for phytoplankton growth in the ocean? Given this situation, which nutrient acts as a limiting nutrient for phytoplankton growth in the ocean? A. Carbon. B. Nitrogen. C. Phosphorus. Or D. Oxygen. The answer is letter C. Phosphorus. According to atxion.com, maintaining the correct ratio between carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus is very important for plant nutrition and also for maintaining the correct chemical and biological balance of aquatic ecosystem. Let's proceed with number 5. The process whereby some microorganisms utilize the chemical energy contained in certain reduced inorganic chemicals, for example, hydrogen sulfide, to produce organic material is known as blank. The process whereby some microorganisms utilize the chemical energy contained in certain reduced inorganic chemicals, such as, or for example, the hydrogen sulfide, to produce organic material is known as blank. A. Photosynthesis. B. Chemosynthesis. C. Feeding. Or D. Dehydration. The answer is letter B. Chemosynthesis. We all know that chemosynthesis and photosynthesis are both processes by which organisms make their own food. Chemosynthesis runs on chemical energy and it occurs on bacteria and other organisms. For example, those organisms found in hydrothermal vents, while photosynthesis is powered by sunlight and it occurs in plants and some bacteria, wherein their end products are the sugars or glucose and oxygen. Meanwhile, feeding is a process of eating food, and where dehydration is referring to a condition caused by the loss of too much fluid in a certain organism. Okay, so let's proceed with number 6. It is a kind of tidal pattern experienced each day where two high tides and two low tides are about the same height. It is known as blank. It is a kind of tidal pattern experienced each day where two high tides and two low tides are about the same height. It is known as blank. A. Diurnal. B. Semi-diurnal. C. Mixed semi-diurnal. Or D. None of these. For this question, the answer is letter B, semi-diurnal. So, this question is all about tides. We all know that tides are the regular rise and fall of the ocean's waters caused by the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. There are three primary classifications for tides depending on the number and relative heights of tidal cycle per day. So we have the diurnal, semi-diurnal, and mixed semi-diurnal. A diurnal tidal cycle is a cycle with only one high and low tide each lunar day. Diurnal is referring to a daily occurrence. So, a situation where there is only one complete tidal cycle per day is considered a diurnal tide, as shown on Figure 1. Diurnal tides are common in the Gulf of Mexico, along the west coast of Alaska, and in parts of Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, semi-diurnal tides, as mentioned earlier, are tidal patterns experienced each day where two high tides and two low tides are about the same height. Semi-diurnal means half of a day. One tidal cycle takes half of a day, as shown on our second figure. Therefore, there are two complete cycles per day. Semi-diurnal tides are common along the east coast of North America and Australia, and the west coast of Africa and most of Europe. And lastly, we have the mixed semi-diurnal tides or mixed tides. It is a kind of tidal pattern experienced each day where two high tides and two low tides differ in height. Mixed semi-diurnal tides are found along the Pacific coast of North America. Number 7. The upper layer or zone in the ocean where the sun's rays penetrate is known as blank. The upper layer or zone in the ocean where the sun's rays penetrate is known as blank. A. Euphotic. B. Dysphotic. C. Oligotrophic. Or D. Eutrophic. The answer is letter A. Euphotic. Euphotic zone, or also known as photic zone, epipelagic zone, or sunlight zone, is the uppermost or well-lit layer of the ocean in which there is sufficient light energy available to support net photosynthetic growth. The euphotic zone extends to a depth where light intensity falls from 0.1% to 1% of that at the surface, and in the open sea, it generally varies from greater than 50 meters to approximately 200 meters. On the other hand, the sphotic zone is a layer where only a small amount of light penetrates the water. It is just below the photic zone and is known as a twilight layer. We also have the term aphotic. It is the darkness layer of the water column. Moreover, oligotrophic and eutrophic are terms most likely refer or used in describing the trophic status of a lake. Oligotrophic is a trophic status in which there are few nutrients present and primary productivity is low in a certain lake. Example of oligotrophic is the Lake Lanao, while eutrophic is a term in which there are abundant nutrients present and primary productivity is high. Example of eutrophic lake is the Laguna de Bay. Number 8. What are the diets of adult green sea turtles? What are the diets of adult green sea turtles? A. Seagrasses and algae. B. Sponges and sea urchins. C. Small crustaceans and mollusks. Or D. Squids and pelagic fishes. The answer for this question is letter A, seagrasses and algae. The green sea turtle, or Chelonia midas, is one of the largest sea turtles, and it is the only herbivore among the species. Green turtles are in fact named for the greenish color of their cartilage and fat, not their shells. Green turtles are found mainly in tropical and subtropical waters. Like other sea turtles, they migrate long distances between feeding grounds and the beaches from where they hatch. Green sea turtles are classified as endangered species. They are threatened by overharvesting of their eggs, hunting of adults, being caught in fishing gear, pollution of marine habitat, and loss of nesting beach sites. Let's proceed with number 9. Which of the following species were once considered invasive species? Which of the following species were once considered invasive species? 1. Knife fish. 2. Mosquito fish. 3. Tilapia. 4. Mudfish. 5. Janitor fish. And 6. Doju. A. 1, 2, 3, and 4. B. 1, 2, 5, and 6. C. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And D. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Letter C is the answer for this question. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Dojo fish is an introduced species in our country during the Japanese War or World War II, but it is not once considered as invasive species. Number 10. What do you call to the species of fish migrating to fresh from saltwater environment to spawn? What do you call to the species of fish migrating to fresh from saltwater environment to spawn? A. Anadromous. B. Catadromous. C. Putadromous. Or D. Amphidromous. What do you call to the species of fish migrating to fresh from saltwater environment to spawn? The answer is letter A, Anadromous. We have different classifications when we are talking about migration of this species. According to NOAA Fisheries, anadromous is a term that describes fish born in fresh water who spend most of their lives in salt water and return to fresh water to spawn, such as salmon, lamprey, and some species of sturgeon. Meanwhile, as mentioned by Connie 2013, catadromous fish are born in salt water, then migrate into fresh water as juvenile where they grow into adults before migrating back into the ocean to spawn. Example is the eel. Next is the potadromous fish. Potadromous fish are born in upstream freshwater habitats, then migrate downstream or still in freshwater as juveniles to grow into adults before migrating back upstream to spawn. In short, their life cycle entirely within freshwater, example is catfish, and the amphidromous or fish that are born in freshwater or estuaries then drift into the ocean as larvae before migrating back into freshwater to grow into adults and spawn. Example is the goby. Then last, we have the oceanodromus, wherein they are born near spawning grounds, then drift on ocean currents as larvae before settling as juveniles to grow into adults before migrating back to spawning grounds. We have the grouper. Let's proceed with number 11. A wind in the Indian Ocean and southern Asia that brings heavy rains in the summer is called blank. A wind in the Indian Ocean and southern Asia that brings heavy rains in the summer is called blank. A. Westerlies. B. Polar easterlies. C. Monsoon. Or D. Trade. The answer for this question is letter C. Monsoon. We all know that monsoon is used to refer to the heavy phase or rainy phase of a seasonally changing pattern, although technically there is also a dry phase. In our country, we experience three prevailing wind systems. These are the northeast monsoon or the amihan and the southwest monsoon or the habagat and trade winds or salatan. Amihan affects eastern Philippines from the month of November to February. According to the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, it is initially a cold, dry air mass that comes from Siberia and gathers moisture over the Pacific Ocean before reaching the eastern parts of the country. It is characterized by widespread cloudiness with rains and showers. On the other hand, the Habagat is characterized by heavy rains that last for a week. This monsoon affects our country from the month of July to September. It brings the rainy season to the western part of the country. Trade winds, or salatan, are winds in the tropics. They are generally come from the east. The trade winds prevail during the rest of the year whenever northeast monsoon are weak. Moreover, trade winds is one of the factors of the formation of Intertropical Convergence Zone or ITZC. Meanwhile, westerlies are prevailing winds that blow from the west at mid-latitudes. According to the nationalgeographic.org, westerlies have an enormous impact on ocean currents, especially in the southern hemisphere. Driven by westerlies, the powerful Antarctic Circumpolar Current or ACC rushes around the continent from west to east about 4 kilometers per hour. In fact, another name for the Antarctic Circumpolar Current is the west wind drift. The west wind drift is the largest ocean current in the world and is responsible for transporting innermost volume of cold, nutrient-rich water to the ocean, creating healthy marine ecosystems and food webs. Further, polar easterlies are dry, cold prevailing winds that blow from the east. They emanate from the polar highs, areas of high pressure around the north and south poles. Polar easterlies flow to low pressure area in subpolar region, as shown on our last figure. Let's proceed with number 12. How do invasive species get into our aquatic environment? How do invasive species get into our aquatic environment? 1. Due to trading of ornamental fish. 2. Intentional stocking for biological control of a species. 3. Escaped from aquaculture facilities. 4. Because of ballast water dumped by cargo ships. A. 1 only. B. 1 and 2 only. C. 1, 2, and 3. Or D. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The answer for this question is letter D. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Species that are not native to a certain area, accidentally or intentionally introduced and not properly controlled, eventually proliferate a certain environment, affecting the native ones, are categorized as invasive species. Invasive species get into our aquatic environment due to some reasons. They are might accidentally or intentionally introduced by someone, escaped from aquaculture area, ornamental fish trading, and many others. Number 13. Whale shark is popularly known in the Philippines as blank. Whale shark is popularly known in the Philippines as blank. A. Dugong. B. Butanding. C. Lumba-lumba. D. Both B and C. For this question, the answer is letter B. Butanding. Whale shark or Rhynchodentypus are considered the largest fish in the world, which can grow up to 20 meters and weigh 40 to 60 tons. They are also called gentle giants and are known for being slow swimmers. Whale sharks are highly migratory species, mostly found in the world's tropical seas, including the Philippines. They are usually in coastal zones with high food productivity. Meanwhile, dugong or dugong-dugon is a marine mammal that is also called as sea cow, sea pig, and sea camel. They are largely dependent on seagrasses communities. As of now, according to Department of Environment and Natural Resources Administrative Order Number 9, Series of 2019, dugong is categorized as critically endangered mammals. Therefore, we should protect them. Further, lumba-lumba is a local term for dolphin. Dolphin is an aquatic mammal or animal that various of its species exhibit sexual dimorphism, where the males are larger than females. Dolphins feed largely on fish and squid, but a few, such as the orca, feed on large mammals such as seals. Male dolphins typically mate with multiple females every year, but females only mate every 2 to 3 years. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration or NOAA Fisheries, dolphins have reputation for being friendly, but they are actually wild animals who should be treated with caution and respect. Dolphins also needs our protection against illegal activities. Okay, so let's go with number 14. What do you call to the reefs that grow parallel to the shoreline but are farther from shore and are usually separated from the land by a deep lagoon? What do you call to the reefs that are grow parallel to the shoreline but are farther from shore and are usually separated from the land by a deep lagoon? A. Fringing. B. Atoll. C. Barrier. Or D. Continental reef. For this question, the answer is letter C, barrier, and we don't have a word or words continental reef. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, there are three main types of coral reefs: The most common type of reef is the fringing reef. This coral reef grows seaward directly from the shore. They form borders along the shoreline and surrounding islands. When a fringing reef continues to grow upward from a volcanic island that has sunk entirely below sea level, an atoll is formed. Atolls are usually circular or oval in shape, with an open lagoon in the center. Barrier reefs are similar to fringing reefs in that they are also border a shoreline. However, instead of growing directly out from the shore, they are separated from land by an expanse of water. This creates a lagoon of open, often deep water between the reef and the shore. On the other hand, continental shelf is the edge of a continent that lies under the ocean. It extends from the coastline of a continent to a drop-off point known as shelf break. And last, number 15. This species is totally known as cataba or bubuntis. This is known as blanc. A. Gambosia affinis. B. Pusilias spinops. C. Pterophyllum scalare. Or D. Phosphorous hilary. The answer for this question is letter A. Gambosia affinis. Gambosia affinis is a live bearer fish that is tagged as a millionfish or mosquito fish because they are prolific breeders. It is locally known as cataba, bubuntis, itar, and tuyong. This species is sexually dimorphic with adult males possessing gonopodium. According to FishBase 2004, female mosquito fish may reach a maximum total length of around 6 to 7 centimeters, while male may reach around 4 centimeters. The maximum age reported for this species is 3 years. This fish was introduced from Hawaii in 1905 to the Philippines primarily for mosquito and malaria control, but today the use of this species for dengue is under debate due to some possibilities that it might dominate the native ones. Meanwhile, Posilia sphenops is known as molly. It is an ornamental fish that appears to be a hardy and highly adaptable species. That is why it can be found in coastal waters, brackish, and seawater streams. Pterophyllum scalare is known as angelfish. It is also the most common species of Pterophyllum found in the aquarium trade. They are carnivorous and take care of their eggs and youngs. And last, the Phosphorous hilary or the green swordtail is one of the most popular live bearer aquarium fish that exhibit sexual dimorphism, with the male being larger than male, but lacking the sword. This species has a tendency to undergo sex reversal from female to male under certain environmental conditions. So that ends our review questions. I hope you learned a lot from this video. See you in the next session. Thank you.